How's it going, guys? I'm Vivi and welcome back to some Jak and Daxter. So apparently Jak 1, 2, 3 are all coming to the PlayStation 4. Here's an extra. Jak X Combat Racing, which was released on the PS2 in 2005, is also going to get released on the PS4. The game's getting released for a second time. Before anything, I decided to look at the dates. I thought that these articles were posted on April 1st, but then I realized that we got a trailer today on April 3rd. But still, I wondered, could this have been a late April Fool's joke? No, that is not the case. Okay guys, Jamatsu, IGN, PlayStation blog, everyone's talking about it, so it's real, it's legit. So with that out of the way, let's continue. Now I know what you're all thinking. How much? When is it going to get released? That we don't know. Well, it's coming out in 2017, but we don't know the exact date. That's what I meant. I'm assuming that each game will probably cost between 10 to 15 bucks US. And of course the prices will drop later with time. Again guys, each game will cost 10 to 15 bucks. Notice I said each game. Each games will be sold separately, so no, it is not a collection. In other words, it's not a remaster of a remaster. Many people seem to be confused right now. I've read comments on articles, in the video comment sections and all that. So no, Sony's not planning on making a brand new collection. So what's the whole idea? I'll explain. Now believe me guys, I at first thought that we were getting a new collection, but that is not the case. So as many of you know, these days Sony is releasing a bunch of PS2 titles onto the PS4 via emulation. PS2 games are simply running at a higher resolution, with trophy support of course. And no, Jak 1, 2, 3 and Jak X will not release physically. We're only talking about digital downloads. But with time, who knows what's gonna happen. So here's the good part out of all this. If we're talking about the PS2 versions onto the PS4, that means all of the bugs that were present in the PS3 collection will not be present. We're simply playing the PS2 version onto the PS4 with upscaled resolution. 1080p to be more precise. I don't know if you guys remember, but the collection ran at 720. Now I know the question you guys have in mind. Why not just port the PS3 collection onto the PS4? It seems like software on the PS3 is not compatible on the PS4. It's very hard to port that collection to the PS4. There's a bunch of messy codes apparently and all that, I'm not too sure. But is it possible? I say yes. Look at Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5. 1.5 and 2.5 were originally released on the PS3 as two collections. Square Enix decided to bring them all to the PS4 onto one disc. Why isn't Sony doing the same? It's business, guys. All I can think of is time and money. Simple. Okay, if Sony decided to emulate Jak and Daxter onto the PS4, why not do the same onto the PS3? Why didn't they think of this in the past? What was the whole point of the collection? Emulation, guys, was very hard on the PS3. They had to remaster the games. Same goes for Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper. And by the way, here's what Shuhei Yoshida explained a while ago regarding this subject. So that's one reason why we brought some of the PS2 games in this form, this time on PS4. When we released the PS2 classics on PS3, for one, PS2 was not easy hardware to emulate, so we had to choose the games that probably didn't take too much advantage of the PS2 hardware, so we were able to soft emulate on the PS3. So in short, the only way of bringing games back onto the PS3 was to simply rework on them and remaster them. Now according to Digital Foundry's John Lineman, a very known user on Eurogamer who does a bunch of analyses, here's what he explained on the whole topic of Jak coming to the PS4. The PS3 HD version was missing visual effects. The shiny metallic surfaces, for instance, were all missing. If you emulate the PS2 original and bump the resolution up to 1080 or more, it should wind up looking better than if you just ported the HD versions. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like the remaster will still look better than the emulation visual-wise, but it's probably just me. Now, do we have any pictures apart from this very short trailer? Yes. Now, it seems we're gonna have some black bars, judging from the pictures. I'm not too sure. I'm just looking at these pictures, guys. But most PS2 emulated games on the PS4 do have these black bars all around. But looking at Jak X, it will support widescreen. And by the way, Jak X is the Jak game I haven't played, but I haven't played Lost Frontier as well. But anyways, I'm pretty hyped up about this. I played 1, 2, 3 and Daxter on the PSP. And no guys, it will not have online support. Jak X will only have split screen. Now guys, the biggest question when it comes to the Jak and Daxter series. What does this mean for the future of the series? Jak 4? Honestly, Jak 4 is a huge mystery, even more mysterious than Sly Cooper 5. But here's how I look at it. Sony is willing to at least release these games on a PS4, a series people assumed was dead completely. And about Naughty Dog, they moved on. Sure, they kinda tried working on concept arts and all that, but it didn't work out. We need a new developer, someone who has to approach Sony. Naughty Dog, they're busy on other games, and these days it seems like they're no longer up for it. So, grain of salt, this emulated version of Jak and Daxter could maybe be a small hint of Jak 4 or even a remake. And some of you might think I'm way too optimistic. But if that were true, if this were a real hint towards Jak 4, that would mean that a new developer is already working on it. If so, maybe they could announce something at E3 2017, who knows. But really, between Jak and Daxter and Sly Cooper, the one which I believe has a higher chance of getting a sequel is Sly. Awful cliffhanger, and we have a developer who's up for it. All we need right now is Sony saying yes, go for it, Sanzaru. As for Jak and Daxter, Naughty Dog moved on. We don't even know what Sony thinks of the idea of having a Jak 4. Someone needs to approach Sony. Okay, so Jak and Daxter are coming to the PS4 via emulation. What does this tell us for Sly and Ratchet? The good thing is, Sony hasn't forgotten about these games. It's fantastic, absolutely great. But the question is, will Sly and Ratchet eventually be emulated on the PS4? Time will tell, no one knows. I always imagined a remaster of a remaster, plus one extra game, for both Ratchet and Clank and Sly. What type of collection? Ratchet and Clank, the first game, second, third, and Deadlocked. As for Sly, first one, second, third, and Thieves in Time. Now after seeing this, I'm wondering, will they emulate the classic Ratchet and Clank games and the classic Sly games onto the PS4 one day? Heck, the Ratchet and Clank PS2 version running on the PS4, I'm all up for it. Especially Deadlocked. Deadlocked on the PS3, guys, it is absolutely broken. As for Sly, however, we have Thieves in Time on the PS3. Ratchet and Clank, we have the Future Saga on the PS3 as well. So, are they going to remaster those? Sly Cooper, for example. 4 games on one disc with fixed load times for Thieves in Time. The load times in that game were terrible. All I'm trying to say right now, guys, is if Sly 5 is planned, a good way of promoting the Sly Cooper series is to come up with a new collection for the PS4, both digitally and physically. 4 games on one disc. Look at Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5. For Ratchet and Clank, okay, maybe the classic games will not get remastered again, maybe we'll get emulation, just like Jak, but I am expecting a Future Saga collection for the PS4. Now look, Jak and Daxter the collection was never on PlayStation Now, the streaming service. Now, not everyone is a fan of that. If the Sly Cooper collection is on PlayStation Now, why even re-release them on the PS4? People can easily stream the game. Same goes for the Ratchet and Clank PS3 games. If all of them can be streamed, what's the point of releasing a collection for the PS4? Tell me one thing, guys. Which one is better? A. Release the PS3 games onto PlayStation Now, people trying to find them, stumbling upon them, or B. Sony releasing a brand new collection with fixed bugs and a bunch of promoting. Which one will capture the most attention? Try and think of that. And plus, many people no longer have PS3s. So releasing a brand new collection for Sly Cooper would be great, especially when it comes to getting people caught up with the series for, you know, Sly Cooper 5, which, in my opinion, will eventually happen. Okay, but what about Jak and Daxter The Lost Frontier? That game was released on the PS2 and PSP in 2009. And what about Daxter, a game which was released in 2006 for the PSP? Those games weren't developed by Naughty Dog, so that's the only argument I can come up with. Now, Ready at Dawn did post a picture of Daxter's 11th anniversary, but grain of salt, it probably means nothing. I'm not gonna overanalyze this picture, and what I think is, if we do get Daxter remastered for the PS4 one day, I'd imagine it being part of a collection. A standalone game? Okay, maybe as a download, but physically, no. Anyways guys, hopefully you found all of this information useful. I know a lot of people were confused regarding this whole subject. So tell me what you think in the comment section below. When it comes to Ratchet and Clank and Sly, do you expect another remaster for the PlayStation 4? Or do you think that those games will simply get emulated just like Jak and Daxter? The classic games especially. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Vivi and thank you for watching.